Hi there, I am not going to be showing you a painting in a moment. I'm going to be showing you as many of my tools as I can because somebody asked me and I'm just that generous. Here's a turntable. If you can find one of these at a yard sale, it's a good thing to put your paints on. These are 16-ounce squeeze bottles. If you can find them, that leaves you room to shake your paint if you want to pre-mix all your paint. I recommend them better than the 8 or the 10 or the 12. Here's my timer, because my camera shuts off at 20 minutes. And if I don't know that it's been 20 minutes, I sometimes can't share everything I want with you. Here's my new sieve. I pulled the handle off so it wouldn't be heavy on one side. Here's a dish of wet cotton folded up rags, because in a moment I will show you my spatulas. Best thing I ever invested in. Hobby Lobby. Round tip, flat tip, especially flat tip, and diagonal. These I get from restaurant cups and delis. You can also buy them, I found out yesterday, either at Walmart or in Dollar General. It might be one of those other dollar stores too, but they're selling like, in Dollar General they're selling like 10 for $1. And in Walmart they're selling like 25 for $3, so it's relatively the same thing no matter what you do. This is the plastic packaging off of something. You can see, well, probably not very well, but you can see how stiff it is. This, not usually with the holes in it, but this is what I use for an edge catcher. Edge catchers keep me from throwing all my paint away. And sometimes I even like to photograph what I get, because after a while, they look pretty cool. I keep all sizes. I cut them from whatever I can find that's plastic. These are my bamboo skewers. People keep asking me what I'm making dots with. I have a couple of thicknesses, but I like to save the broken ones, especially with a bulb on the end, because it will pick up and hold more paint, sort of like an old-fashioned pen. So put those away too. Here's my Revolutionary War fork. I like it because it has really sharp little tines. You probably won't ever find one of those, but if you do, I'd grab it if I were you. I think I found that at a yard sale a long time ago. This is a watercolor tool. I only used it once the other day, but it worked really nicely. It's thin, it's sharp. You can scrape things away with it. You can swipe things out with it. You could probably do all kinds of stuff, including move paint and fill paint in. I haven't finished playing with that yet. This is my favorite palette knife, and probably what I'll be doing shortly is using another palette knife to scrape that sucker off, because evidently I left it someplace that's going to rust. And it will come nice and clean. The best thing to clean a palette knife with is another palette knife. I recommend keeping your tools clean if you can possibly manage to do that. This is my favorite tool lately. You will never find one of these unless you are extremely fortunate, which I wish you luck with. It's beveled on the side. It's not very deep. It held a butter pad. I scoop paint out of a reservoir, especially this flat-sided one. And I put it down, and when it's empty, I use the corner to dot things. But, like I said, I don't know if you'll find one of those. These are just your average tongue depressors. Eventually, they get so pretty you want to take pictures of them. So you could do that, too. Alright, pencil erasers. Check this out. I kept losing my caps. Somebody recommended on YouTube, in fact, after hearing me say that I lost a bunch of caps, that they would fit. And they do. Dollar store, $1. Like 40, 50 of them. Surgical tubing. I noticed also at the dollar store that there are things that are not very expensive in the medical department, and you can find this tubing. You may not get the mouthpiece with it, but you'll still find the tubing if you want that tubing. I don't think I have a problem with a bendy straw. Bendy straw. I like the bendy end. It works for me. Paillettes. Very cheap. Hobby Lobby. You can order a lot of them or a few of them, and you can spend $1 or you can spend more. So, this is the bottom of a carton, a container that held a milk product, and I have cut it so that, how do I show you that? I'm backwards. So that it's beveled, so I can pour that out. I have different depths of those, so that I can add more or less amount of paint. And I will use those. These are what I started with. These are great. These are rice bowls. I found this at the flea market. I have a wide variety of them, and I imagine you can find them too if you look. The lacquer keeps the paint from sticking very nicely. You could theoretically actually keep that overnight with that lid on there. I keep a wet rag in there right now that I wring out, and I put that wet rag in there so I could show it to you. This is not the wet rag I had in mind. Generally speaking, when I cut up a t-shirt that's got a certain amount of weight heft to it, I take the hemmed end and I use that for my swipes. I dip it in and I pull it over, and I cut it the width, I should say, of the canvas. So that works well for me. I'll put that aside. You saw my timer. This is my favorite tool. This is by Good Grips. They have stopped making these. If you go anywhere in a kitchen supply store, you should buy this if you can find it. It's about 10 bucks. It might be the best 10 bucks as a acrylic pouring person you ever spend, because it spreads paint, nice thin edge, so easily. I'm inclined to even call the company, except for I've got mine, and say, you guys are missing out, because there are a lot of people who would like to buy your tool. I get asked all the time. This is another scoop with a flat front. This is my spoon from, oh God, a sushi bar for some soup with a flat front. It's even got duct tape on it. It's such a nice little spoon. Because of the flat fronts, you can draw out your paint when you scoop it out of your container, which I do quite frequently. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that to be true. I like to keep cans around to put the tops from my squeeze bottles in, because if you don't, you're going to have a problem. Last but not least, I use blaster silicone more often than not, and just a tiny little squirt if I'm going to use silicone at all, and I do not use silicone most of the time. I do a swipe. This is what I was using, and I was spraying it off into a bottle, and it was working very well for me, but not as well as the blaster. So CRC, a couple bucks at Walmart. It works great. If you can't find blaster, blaster's available at Home Depot. This is what I started out with. This is treadmill silicone. You can tell that I have not opened that bottle, but I've been through a few. I like it fine, it works well, but it's still one more heavy-duty, oily thing I have to clean off of a canvas, and I don't care for that. I tried this. I'm not probably done trying it, but I've been done for a while. This is the coconut milk. You can also find this at Walmart. It's not inexpensive, it's really thick, and it hasn't worked any better for me than one tiny little spritz of blaster, so I'm sticking with blaster for now. We'll see. I have my days. I have all kinds of containers that I dedicated, whoops, top came off. That was a agave container, to squeeze bottles. And I do mean all kinds. So, if you can't afford to buy squeeze bottles, I say invest in squeeze bottles. It's like the best thing I ever did for myself. I just bought 12 more and used them up immediately. Keep something colorful around for inspiration. I think we are pretty well done. I have, oh, there we go. These bath carryalls that you find at yard sales. Good place to keep your stuff. How about that? How about a carpenter's carryall? Keep your Floetrol in a spare bottle. I keep my GAC 800 in a spare bottle also. Here is the beginning of a dripped onto plastic coated, still wrapped canvas, probably 12 by 16. And eventually, if I just keep adding paint to it, it'll become a skin that's beautiful, and we never even know what's going to be on the bottom side until we peel it off. Peels off great from that plastic. Great idea as long as you want to be able to take skins from something other than freezer paper, which I did not show you and is a staple of mine. Do I have it handy? I don't have it handy. Oh well. I found all kinds of cool stuff at yard sales. I keep my tools in that sometimes. That is one of those things from Victorian times, I think, that you keep flowers in. Say goodbye to my edge catcher. I like these little reservoirs here for making up a dirty pour cup sometimes. It's been a while. I don't require the same amount of paint that I used to use. This I bought yesterday at the dollar store, which I will put in a shallow tray, some paint in a shallow tray, and I will scoop it up and I will release it on a much larger canvas. I like these. This is someplace that I can put my tools when they're dirty and I can't get them to the bucket. Oh, speaking of the bucket, let's do that. Bucket with rags in it. Keep one of these handy. And the most important thing that you can possibly know is don't dump it down the drain in your house, because your pipes will get coated. You're not going to get over this addiction too quickly, and you will be very sorry, because that stuff sticks and it doesn't come out, and a plumber's bill to replace all the plumbing in your house will not make anybody happy, including you. Rain-X, my last trick, and it wasn't my trick, and the name of the girl that turned me onto it suddenly escapes me. Sorry about that girl who turned me onto this, but thank you very much anyway. This will create instant cells. If you can't get any cells, one spritz from about this high, 18 inches, will create cells. Okay, so that was a fairly fast delivery. And did I tell you all I need a timer so that I can make sure my camera doesn't melt, and I use my 20 minutes wisely, because that's all I get. Anyway, so there are other things. Here's another thing. Find yourself a mixing container, probably much smaller than this one. That's for a bulky order. I'm too close to microphone, sorry. Anyway, so smooth bottoms. And those spatulas will take all of your paint right out of there. And spoons from the kitchen, even if they're not flat front, might come in really, really handy. I also use reservoirs by all description, and meat trays, which I'm not going to show you because everything's still stuck on it. Anyway, I hope that was well and truly informative enough. I know my torch is around here. Oh yeah, propane torch, $50 art resin head. The only thing that has kept me working and being able to use a torch is having a high quality head on it. Everything else has plugged up on me incessantly. It's just irritating as a son of a gun. Oh, there's something else. For large paintings, my favorite, stainless steel chafing dish means that the paint comes out super, super easy. I'm looking around. I'm not seeing anything else. I have various other buckets for water. I keep more than one handy, but I'm not seeing anything. And I hope that was informative. Like I said, I'm still looking around. I'm eyeballing everything. I have various little trays and things and shot glasses and stuff, but you can figure that out for yourself. And I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.